Hi everyone, welcome to our behind the scenes section. In today's installment, we're going to have to look at the weekly vision number 2 posted on our Instagram account a couple of weeks back. In this image, everything was mostly about the concept of this sort of mirror faceted that sort of deconstructed the reflected towers here. So in terms of the image itself, there wasn't really anything fancy, but it's still pretty interesting to see how it's been done, I think. So if we have a look at our 3ds Max project here, basically the idea here was to have this sort of faceted wall here, which is conveniently done using a floor generator with and using the max tilt here, which basically tilt your slabs with a random angle. So basically the idea was to find the right angle to get the tower here to be sort of deconstructed but still be recognizable, and to get an interesting pattern effect of the context with the trees and stuff like that. So the tower itself is not really complicated either. It's just a simple plain symboled slab with some curtain attached and the balustrade and the glass glazing panel. And the idea was just to take it and multiply it and shift it and rotate it so that you get some sort of interesting building like that. Really simple and quick. There was also a little bit of detailing with the ceiling here, where you have two kind of ceiling. You have the sort of a housing ceiling with spotlights, and this one with more of a office-like ceiling, more of a not custom but a standard. And the idea here, so basically I used the forest pack and had if you have a look at the forest pack here, there's the, where is it? Office here. So here you can see there are only two different types of office geometry, and it's scattered in a grid system with, I think there's an effect, no, I didn't even use it in the end. So yeah, really simple grid system that I sort of made look okay. But the thing is, since it's a simple reflection and you're kind of far away, you don't like, it has to look okay, but it doesn't really matter. Like it has to make sense, but you're not really into the detail. Although the idea is that you can sort of zoom in and see and understand what's going on. Same goes with the sort of housing forest back objects. Next, the idea was to do some interesting stuff with the fabric. So here I think some of them are done with Marvelous designers, and other might be ready-made, but I'm not really sure anymore. And basically the idea here is to have some interesting dynamic, because everything is extremely static in terms of architecture, because it's extremely simple, and the idea is to have something more organic that is more like light, and in that way you have, it sort of animates your facade with some interesting translucency and things like that. So that's pretty much it in terms of modeling. The rest is a mix of grass. I think there are a couple of stuff, like there's grass, there's a bit of rocks, and there might be something else as well. And then it's mainly trees, so it's really, really simple in terms of how it works. The topography itself is done with a simple, it was just I think it was just a section that I then extruded and tessellated, although I could have used the quadify, but it's okay. And then it's just a noise map, a noise modifier, plus the I think there's a displacement map and well, yeah, no, not even. It's just a bump map on the ground to get some sort of variation. Could have been more complicated than that. And the mirror here, I think is a little bit simpler than what I wanted to do because, yeah, as you can see, it's really just a simple reflection. Could have been interesting to use a little bit of bump map with the noise map to get slight variation, but I didn't try that. And also could have been interesting to get maybe a little bit of dirt in the background, in the lower part of the mirror here. But it's really just small details. There was also this dude that is, where is he? Here. That was ready-made model. Don't really remember where it's from, sorry, but I'll try to find that. And that was pretty much it. Then it was just a matter of trial and error to find the right size for the floor generator plus the right angle. So that's pretty much it. In terms of lighting, don't even remember how I did it. So yeah, there was a sun. So it was sun plus HDRI, I think, if I look at that guy. Yep, HDRI. So really simple setup. I think it was just like a simple sunny day HDRI plus these guys are the ones I used to scatter inside the image. These are already like the ones I modeled for the ceiling, and the vegetation is on another layer, but nothing really special about it. It's just pine trees and the likes. So that's it. If we switch to the post-production part here, it's gonna be pretty quick as well. Here is the base rendering, which is not really fancy, but still there was like this foreground here that I wanted to be slightly less homogeneous compared to that. There was some shrubs here and there, and mainly also in the background here. I quite like how this looks because the gradient in the slope sort of makes interesting pattern emerge. Although the problem is I couldn't use the V-Ray color tint in to get more variation in the blades of grass here, so it's a little bit too repetitive to my taste, but couldn't really waste time redoing a rendering, so that's what I ended up with. There was also some fuck-ups with the texture here, so that guy lost his underwear, but nothing really problematic. So there was some base adjustments, as I said, so that guy here and a couple of stuff that were not really quite right, but nothing really important. Here's the color, so it's mainly desaturation and the slight change in the hue here to get small variation. Then there's the light, because if we have a look at it in black and white, you can see it's extremely flat. So what I do is here, so there's a simple level here to get more contrast in the grass. There's a curve adjustment to the overall image. Then that guy here is a slight adjustment to differentiate the mirror from the real thing, basically, because otherwise you can't really see the junction, which is, well, it was kind of the point, but still you want it to be a little bit more subtle. And here's a bit of dodge. The dodge really work extremely well on vegetation, because you can really enhance the sort of a translucency of the leaves. And the burn tool, sorry, was used to sort of add variation in the grass as well. Then, so that's what we end up with in terms of contrast. Colors weren't quite there though, and I think It was some combination of several filters here. So high key is really the one I use usually, but in a really small opacity. Then it was tonal contrast, that is also, so these guys are from the collection filters. This guy to bring out the contrast, and then it was just, I wasn't really happy with in the end with the overall mood, but still that's sort of what I ended up with the cross processing. Remove color cast is quite interesting when you want something to, like when you want your shadows to be bluer, because that's how they usually are, and it's how it actually looks better than black shadows, which actually don't really exist. I think, oh yeah, these guys here are just copies and of the rocks in the foreground, sorry, because I was really not happy with that part here, so I've added these guys here, and there must be a couple of different tweaks here. I'm not sure there's actually anything on this one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep. So as you can see, it was mainly about, like, there was quite a bit of work, and there should be a little bit more work actually, but wasn't really, like, the point was just to have this sort of interesting deconstruction. And actually that's the thing, is I'm still not sure on how to crop this image, because I quite like at first the large framing like that, but still it could be also quite interesting to have a much narrower framing, or maybe like a 1/3 like that, or I don't know. There's like many different ways. The thing is, I intentionally rendered the whole thing so that I can simply crop what I'm interested in the end. But yeah, in terms of making of, I guess there's not much else to say about the image. So I'll stop right there. Hopefully you've learned some interesting stuff that you can potentially use in your next rendering, or inspirations for your non-commissioned work, and I'll see you in the next behind the scenes. Bye guys.